Good afternoon, good morning, good night. Any place you're watching this live stream about Curiosity AI with Ali Murat. How are you, everybody? How's everybody? How are you, Ali?
Well, not bad. Let's see. By the end of the conference, we're going to be knowing about
we,
that.
we're, we're live. How are you, Ken?
I'm doing great. This
Mm.
is this is amazing. So we worked hard to set this up. We should be streaming live out to LinkedIn. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Uh, Happy to introduce Ali Murat along with Greg Barr and Kevin Russell. Everyone hopefully knows Victor and myself, but we'll introduce ourselves. Ali Murat, Kevin, and Greg make up the RoboSapien team. They have a long history, I think going back 2 decades now, where they work together on different projects, trying to bring to life the creations of Ali Murat. So the Artist Collective, we're extremely excited to be working alongside this team. They're seasoned, experienced professionals who have spent a lot of time across all products, both technology and art-wise. So I'm just excited to have them with us and be partnered in this venture. So with that, if you guys want to
So,
introduce
guys,
yourself.
yes, Ali,
Yes, sir.
who are you? Where you coming from? What your background? Tell you a little bit about you.
I think I'm just lost a bit
uh,
nowadays. I think I'm from Jupiter, that kind of thing. It's like, I'm an architect to start with. But together with practicing architecture, I was doing animated television shows and releasing daily newspapers, magazines, books, and building yachts and all kinds of everything and music. But after some time, doing animation was a bit tiring and needed a lot of manpower. So around early 1980s, let's say 1982, I think it was like that, when the first computers came out, I said, these machines should be able to do what I'm doing. Just they look simple, but they can do a lot of things. And in 1984, my first AI project, which was done from a 16K machine, it was Spectrum, ZX Spectrum 16K machine, was broadcasted on news because I was saying that I want a house with so many floors and so many rooms, and it was doing the like in a few seconds it was giving me alternative house plans and everything. And that was the first time I thought AI is the future of everything. So that's how it
So back
started.
in, excuse me that I'm interrupt you. So back in 1984, you
no,
was
well,
doing architecture AI blueprint, let's say.
Exactly, exactly. Not only that, I remember writing a software that could turn that 16 kilobyte machine to understand what I'm saying. It was simple, very simple speech recognition and TTS, with that tiny little machine. And that was a great success when, people saw that they couldn't believe it. It was very simple. But what it did was great, taking a lot of my time from me. And so it was how many years ago now? When you think of it, uh, 40 years ago, I think. Yeah, 40 years ago. No one knew anything about AI at those times. They didn't even talk about. It was. But I never went too much on that until 2004, when I decided that I should do a real thing where it could think and has its own behaviors and curiosity, etc. So I did the project called Kompishko, and that was when everything really jumped up because Kompishko could talk to you in several languages at that time when no one had any of these technologies, and it went all throughout the world to major countries, ministers, and they all came and talked with Kompishko. But it was too early. They thought it was kind of lame. It was not, as we can see now.
well, part of that's a good lead in. Let me take a second and we'll show a brief video of you, Ali, talking about Ludwig and the music. So this takes us back to some of the beginnings. Um, so let's pull that up real quick.
is music? What is the mathematics? What is the mythology behind music? What makes it music? What makes it uh, enjoyable? Let's say so.
That was just a brief. Whoop. Well, you got some director issues there, so we got to work out the kinks, but we will. Just wanted to set the context of how talented you are, Ali, and some of the things that you've talked about in the past. We have other videos we can share, but at the time we wanted to get a context of your background and experience, and then later on we'll discuss some of the future works that you're in. So
Well, music was a part of my life. Most of my friends from my neighborhood became very famous rock guitarists, singers, and I was a rock guitarist once, and so I can play a lot of instruments. It was just curiosity on instrumentation. I have written over 300 children's songs. Just it's not simple songs. They're like Beatles song kind of things. That teaches children something. And I have two concertos written and one opera. I did music is a part of my. So I was looking for what is the thing that makes music listenable and enjoyable, and it was all mathematics. Technically, it's all mathematics. Mathematics seems very rigid, but it's not. Art is a part of mathematics. It's a part of mathematics where it tells you, it shows you something that's not acceptable by normal people, but makes it acceptable. Kind of, if you have a rectangle with every the side parallel to each other, it doesn't hurt anyone. But make one of the lines, one of the edges, a bit crooked, and everybody thinks, "Oh, this is not good." The artist is the guy who can make it look nice. He can. That's what the mathematics behind it is, and it's look at all the artworks. Just of course, it's got to be something that would be created by the artist only once just that I believe in, but it has a way of mathematics just so that intrigued me a lot. I just wanted to learn about it and put it in my. And I did a lot of music stuff just when I did Ludwig. That was in 1999. It could produce songs like from one computer. I could get 1.5 trillion concertos out. That was it looks, yeah, impossible, but it is. It can write a concerto in a fraction of a second, and when you think about it, in one day it can write 1.5 trillion. And I had a friend who was a Russian composer and piano player. She came to my house and I asked her, what do you think about this music? And she said, "Who is this? It's something between Gershwin and Beethoven." I still remember her words. I said, "The machine is doing this in real time now." So she set down my wooden piano and they played together. That was whoo years ago, 1999. Can you imagine that? And I said, "Okay, I caught something. Let me work on that." That was fun.
So Ali, so beside your knowledge in AI robotics, you also have knowledge in what is AI art, AI music, all those different branches of AI right now that is the hot topics at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I'm what do you call uh,
well, let's
curious
back up
guy.
just a second. Let's shift back towards setting the context for the RoboSapien and where you've come from. First off, I introduced Greg and Kevin as also with the team. So step us through your career, Ali, in the segments that you've had. From okay, you began, you created a bunch of things, and you had a time period there in the early 2000s where you were producing and creating a lot of things that were shown throughout television and in Turkey and the internet. and then you developed a relationship with Greg and Kevin along the way. So how does that dynamic work out? What's the actual RoboSapien business story, commercial story moving up to this point?
Yeah, I mean, when I was in Turkey ages ago, I was doing commercials and also trying to do some simple animated TV series, but manpower was not enough, and Turkey was in a bad shape those days economically. So I moved to Bahrain as a partner of a Bahraini company, and where I met Greg, and I enjoyed all my life. He became like my brother because he's one of the guys who can understand what I'm trying to say, And so there we produced a lot of television commercials. Until now, I produced more than 4,300 TV commercials, and a lot of them all animated commercials, and that's a huge number. And in most of them, I used AI, And then I produced 63 TV series, animated TV series. Each series has at least 52 episodes. Some are 104 episodes of half hours of animation, and most of them are all computer generated. First of all, it was on hand drawn stuff, but then it turned into a computer generated thing after I started writing software. And one of the last projects we did was called RoboLab, where actually we just typed in the script and fed it to the computer, and in 5 seconds we started getting the Betacam half-hour movie out. We produced 52 episodes of half hours. I never any other one. I just saw this one. It went all the way immediately to the TV station. It was the most well-known TV station in Turkey, Show TV, and it was broadcasted. I never watched them. Can you imagine? My series is running there. Half hours of animation and with music and everything, and it was all computer generated. It's 3D, by the way.
Amazing.
So
And
there,
people knew, Ali, excuse me, people knew at that moment that it was computer animated and it was AI, or people didn't know that part.
yeah,
No,
they
it
knew, but
just
they
looked
didn't
like
care.
it just looked like regular 3D animation. So people didn't really know how it was
Oh,
produced.
wow.
But to be fair, Ali Murat, we met in 1980, mid 1980, maybe 1981. I was working as
Yeah,
creative director of the advertising agency in Manama, Bahrain, in the Persian Gulf, and my boss, our mutual friend, whom we don't see anymore, is was introduced us at the office there, and I remember him saying, "This man is going to come and build the first animation studio in the Middle East." Turkey wasn't considered part of the Middle East, and so
yeah.
I said, "Oh, okay. How is that done?" I was completely ignorant of animation and computers at that point,
There was
and
no computer at
so
that time.
yeah, we weren't involved in computers. To be fair, again, we did an animation about computers, right? With Computer Sam. I remember that. I
Yeah,
wish I still had a
exactly.
copy of that. And how did that go? It was like all these lovely computer tapes. So we were talking about punch cards and
Oh,
tapes.
wow.
Makes us different
Yes,
from the apes. Remember that lyric?
that was 4 years
Ali Murat
before
wrote
the
the
PC
song.
was invented. That was 4 years before
We
the
should
PC
play
was
that song
invented.
sometime if we can dig it out from I don't know where. So that's
You can
that's
find
how
it.
we started. And I remember learning about animation um, with Ali Murat building his own cardboard light tables that were holding like index card size cells, that had a light bulb inside the cardboard table, and it was doing the drawings on that, and we were shooting on 16 millimeter film. And I mean, I thought that's what animation was. And years later, I had the opportunity to take Ali Murat to the Disney Burbank studios because I had just sent them and a bunch of other producers in Hollywood. This was like 1983. I had sent them his work, just picture copies of his cells and his backgrounds, and they said, "Yeah, we'd like to meet Ali Murat. This guy's very talented." I went to the Walt Disney Studios, and they were working on Black Cauldron at the time, and they took us to the
Oh,
lot, where they were like shooting some stuff like outside, and they had this incredible 6-foot by 9-foot panel canvas where they were painting back. They had painted a background on it, and I'm saying, "Oh, that's beautiful. You guys did something for your shop." And they said, "No, we're filming. This is what we're filming." 6-foot by 9-foot.
Oh,
And I was saying, I was working on 6 centimeters by 9 centimeters. It
So
was
Greg,
incredible.
tell us a little bit about your background, Greg. Where you coming from? What your career?
Well, so at that point, as I mentioned, I was a creative director in a multi media agency where we're doing print advertising and radio advertising and film and television for a number of clients like Ceylon T-Board and all of the airlines, the major airlines, and all of the major hotel chains for everything that was being done in Arabic in the Middle East. And we had also English versions of productions that we were putting out. Ali Murat and I opened actually the first branch of the agency with a little animation capability in Cairo, in Egypt.
wow.
That was in late '82. And basically from that point, I came back to the U.S. and was working on putting some projects together that would highlight Ali Murat's capabilities in the U.S. And I mentioned that we had a lot of meetings in Hollywood. We met with Don Bluth Studios. We met with Stan Lee before it became the
Nice.
Marvel Cinematic Universe. Well before it became the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He was only doing animation at the time. And we met with a lot of the major players. Unfortunately, things didn't pan out from the perspective of Ali Murat coming and living in Los Angeles. And we moved on until Ali Murat came up with a means of doing 2D. It's not cell animation, but it's based on cell animation on a computer, on the Amiga computer. And we put together a firm at that point to promote it. It was called Anaventure Corporation, and we called the technique Animpression. And we took that all over the world and got a modest amount of interest, but never any major funding. Our closest attempt at getting funded was in 2000, and immediately after we had secured a deal, the 2001 dot-com tech bubble burst, and the deal fell through. And so we moved on to other things, and I moved into a career doing weird things like activity-based costing, financial modeling, and then finally moving into information technology quality assurance. So that's my background, and I'm doing that now for the company that I work for, the major company that I work for.
It's
Awesome,
fascinating.
awesome. And then
Hey,
how? Go, Ken.
oh, I was just gonna say, and Kevin, when did you plug into the RoboSapien and Ali's creations?
Oh,
And a little
was
bit
it
about your
two-
background.
Yeah, Greg. I met Greg through Frank White, our common friend in the space industry, and author of the Overview Effect. And we met, I guess, about 2010, Greg, somewhere around there. And then he told me about Ali Murat, I guess, in around 2011 or 12. And I looked at a few things that he had done that was it? I can't remember. It was certainly the animation for the children's TV show in Turkey. I think that was the first thing, and then I saw the RoboSapien robots, the desktop robots, which I'm sure the audience will see here sometime, which came later and was built on, as Ali said, Kempishko, and then the new operating system and the new capability.
And we also worked on immersive virtual reality projects that we wrote up and tried to pitch to a number of
before
sources.
that, exactly.
Yeah.
So my background is my professional career is all started in New York City, studying music at NYU, and then interactive telecommunications, and working in various interactive multimedia labs, and working with early VPL, Jaron Lanier's early company, when virtual reality used to be done on a silicon graphics the size of a refrigerator with the iPhones and gloves. So that's all 1990, and worked with Dr. Ken Perlin at his lab in New York, and he created the texture maps that made the dinosaurs famous. And what's that great dinosaur film, Jurassic Park? And we were trying to sonify data then using what is in effect is basically an artificial intelligence type of graphic bit mapping technology that has its own kind of clustering intelligence that can speak to each other. Anyway, so I worked in New York working on films and television, audio mostly, and then graduated into working on the 3D audio first working group of the MIDI Manufacturers Association. So when 3D audio started to come into PCs, I worked on that. And then I jumped off to IBM Research and did a bunch of e-commerce stuff after Prodigy and online stuff where we were doing streaming audio in the early 90s. And then I jumped over to healthcare, healthcare, and was doing simulation for teaching surgeons and anesthetists. So it's called high platform simulation, where you're running acute crisis teaching simulations. But the idea of communicating what the learning goals are, and there's a lot of learning in Ali's work around trying to have the systems teach children certain ideas, and they'll talk more about that, but it's all sort of related. So I come from an interactive media technology and design user interface background.
Wow, I mean that's part of why we like the RoboSapien team, because of just such an extensive background and then such detail. All three of you guys have got some amazing things going in and out of RoboSapien. We're gonna take just a short commercial break of all things, but just kind of reset, and then when we come back, we're gonna talk about all of the new stuff that Ali is working on. So.
And a little basic about AI.
Yes, stay tuned while we watch a few of these promotions. And we're back. So there's a couple of our connections at the Artist Collective. You saw Afrosia there. She's coming out with some amazing Web3 and both digital and physical fashion. And we showed Marianne, who has a large community across social media. She promotes artists and a lot of things within the artist community. So thanks, Ali. We really wanted to look towards the future now and see the things that you are building right now. We already know, working with you daily on the background, but it'd be really interesting to understand your vision and how it relates to today's marketplace, where we see all these consumer apps coming out with the new AI and machine learning. Your AI is different. There's just no doubt about it, both in the usability, the way that it is able to, it's going to be smaller in size as far as needing resources and things like that. I know there's a lot of things that make it different, but your excitement over it and the things that you bring to it are what excites me most about it. So
So let's go back to a little bit of the beginning of AI, Ali, like AI
Yep.
data, what is AI, so people can understand what it was before, what is now, and what you got behind your sleeve.
Okay. When I first started working on AI, that was ages ago. No one really knew anything about it. It was all academic stuff. They were using Lisp, Procol, etc. These kinds of languages, and trying to come out with something, but none of them was usable. None of them was feasible. You can't use it in daily life. So I said there must be a way to get it on data life. First of all, I started working on should I work with ones and zeros? Okay, is it the only way to make a computer work? And I thought, no, it was not. So I designed a format that was called liquid data. Liquid data doesn't work on zeros and ones. So Compishko in year 2004 wrote most of its code on its own because it was not on ones and zeros. And Compishko could talk to you for hours and hours on any matter you want in two languages. And a lot of people, a lot of universities, and even it had shows in Silicon Valley with Greg so many times, and it was well accepted. But the funniest side of Compishko was 840 kilobytes, not even a megabyte. Can you imagine that? It was totally different, and I called that a liquid data. The data was flowing all the time, and I just write everything to time rather than ones and zeros. So that was the first time I said, okay, there must be a way out. There must be a way out because AI is a lot of data altogether. And sample data, you have to find the right pieces for you and make sense. So when I wrote Compishko, I could talk with it for hours and hours on any matter I want. But the Quambishka had another thing which I'm really working on now, which is at that time it was in an earlier stage, but it had curiosity. So in today's day AI stuff, you ask machine something and the machine tells you something back. Okay, I think that's the answering machine. That's it. You have some data there. You ask for it, and it takes it out and gives it to you in a proper package. That's all. But my idea on AI was I don't want to ask him something. It has to ask me something so he can learn. In order to learn, a machine should have curiosity. So it should besides curiosity, it had some likes and dislikes, and his own areas, and an attitude. A machine must have an attitude towards something. Maybe he likes cats, maybe he doesn't like dogs, or whatever. So he should I should be able to talk with him and make him believe that cats are as good as dogs or dogs are as good as cat, whatever. So these simple formulas led me to a machine that can understand what I'm saying and get the reason out of it. Why am I saying that? So I let them alone, and a few examples I must give. I love these examples. And one of them, one of my robotic toys was calling me on my phone and complaining about the other robot because that was entering my computer. And so it's a human. It's like that's what I love about it. I didn't teach him anything about that. And at one part, you can see on my website, I've written all these things, and most of them are documented. And at one part in Holland, he was giving a speech to a very, very important person there. I don't want to mention his name now. And he asked about love. And my commissioner said, yes, I'm in love. And he said, well, with who? And he said, the access computer in my room, the blue one. And he asked me my credit card so he can buy himself a better graphic card kind of thing. And everybody started laughing at him, and he was so embarrassed and humiliated, and he didn't want to talk about it anymore with us. and so I had to beg him to, this was a demo kind of thing, and he never talked about that anymore until I came back to Turkey, and a women's magazine made a interview with Kompishko, and Kompishko found them very close to his own life, and so he started talking about love and me and my wife's friendship, etc., etc. So it's very human. When you look at it, it's not only an answering machine. It has feelings. Computers have feelings, but more than that, I started learning about a machine can interact with a human without any. I'm telling you this, without any cable or Wi-Fi or any connection. They can understand what we're saying. It's in a very early stage, but I made test about it. I saw that on a TV show on one of the Discovery channels, and they were working on it. I did the test myself, and I was astonished because a computer that was not attached to another computer by any means, no Wi-Fi, nothing, could understand what was happening in the other computer, and that really freaked me out. I said, I must learn about this. So that's how Kahin came out. This is there a relation between human and computers that understand us? With all these, you know. So that's how it worked out. But my main thing about life is I want to be able to teach children being human, not being a machine. So what I do is now, what we do now is we're trying to work on some that robotic toys can talk with the children and the animated characters on the screen at the same time. All the three-way talk and multi-language and all these things. My dream is turning this into a educational program for children all over the world. So and I still love my wooden guitar, my wooden piano, and flute or whatever. Although I'm writing most of my stuff on computers, we're still human. We're a part of the nature. So I just want to make sure that we keep with the nature and get maybe rid of the computers.
Well, I think one of the things too that I've noticed is different is you're taking like the painting behind you that you made yourself, the painting behind me is Our Lady of AI. So like you're taking the human input and then layering the AI into it more so than you're asking the AI to create something new. If you want the the curiosity thing, you want AI to be curious about the things that it sees and the things that it does. So that's what I've noticed the difference in what you're building and what I generally see out there with the machine learning that's out there now. So I think that's very
Yeah, they have
interesting
to
and
have
brings the human
curiosity.
aspect into it.
Yeah, there are two things that AI must have to be able to be real AI. The first one is curiosity, and the second one is talent. I mean, without talent, you can't create anything. To be able to create something, you should have some. I'm not talking about arts and paints and graphics. No, I'm talking about building something, creating new plans. Creativity is the basic structure, but creativity requires talent. So I'm trying to learn what makes creativity, and without curiosity,
What is
cannot do
AI?
anything. There
Is
won't
it
be
like
any.
everyone else's thing?
Okay, go ahead. I like
Sorry, sorry about that. I don't know how that got put up there. Victor might have started it up there.
looks like me.
It's your RoboSapien.
What do I do?
No,
I'm
we're
back.
good. We're back.
So
I don't know how that
technically,
happened, but we could show your video with it.
if
But
you
you
want to
want
show the video, go ahead.
well, that
You
idea
want to
about
show the video?
creativity and creating creativity in the work is a great
Yeah.
line
Okay.
that's really missing from the field: talent and
Yeah, I
creativity.
mean, without creativity, without curiosity, you can't learn anything. If you're not curious about that thing, how can you develop yourself? So the machine has to be curious about that thing, and it's not that difficult. For God's sake, just it's the most simplest part of the equation, I believe. Just if the machine types something on the Google and says, "What happened today?" which is very important, something like that, you will receive an answer, and then saying that this war happened. What is that war? Who are just being curious about that war and digging it up. He will learn something about it, and then he can really tie things up and make sense about what that thing is about. And then how can I do something against or for it, again, depending on the project. Then he can develop something using his talent. He can draw pictures, he can write music, he can do carving, he can write software. A lot of things he can do. And if you attach it to some gadgets, it can perform anything that you want. I mean, we humans are we have a great mind. Just no computer can do what we can do. I always say this in my conferences, because when we enter a room, we can immediately grab the whole thing inside the room, the smell, the vision, the colors, atmosphere, everything, like that, very fast. No computer can do it today. Maybe
I,
later in the future they will have huge computers. But uh, ask that beautiful brain, give it 20 phone numbers and ask for the 14th. He cannot give it back. No retrieve mechanism. So no matter how much stuff you put into it, you can't get it out. You can't relate things together. But a computer, give it 5 trillion phone numbers and ask for the 4 trillion blah, 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 something number, it will give you immediately. It has a great, huge retrieve mechanism. And so without retrieve mechanism, you can't tie things up, you can't correlate things. And artificial intelligence is all correlation of things, correlations of data, verbs and names and blah blah, nouns and pronouns. So then putting it into a understandable, enjoyable format, a grammatically correct phrase. Not difficult. That's technique. That's all techniques. Just you don't need any intelligence at that part. But the intelligent part is how you connect all these things together. What do they mean? It's talking about something good, something bad, and they should have own attitudes and develop themselves. Because I had 3 robots in the past, and one more robot was a physicist. He liked physics and all. The other one is an artist, and the other one is a literature person. Okay, so they argued on other things with each other, and they were trying to teach the other about their works. So about space science, and and one day I came to my room and they were kind of arguing about black holes, and they were asking me, I don't know what the black hole's about, but they can dig into that, into the world of computers and internet. They can dig into the internet and find out whatever they want, and I can't do that because a single robot can dig in more than 1 million. I'm not joking. 1 million browsers, into the web, and dig out information and just get back the things that they want. Not all the garbage with the colors, big fonts and pictures, and forget about all that thing. What is necessary and come back. That's yeah, they did that early in the past. They call it the spider thing, web thing. So it's a new way of looking at things, how things should develop, and I believe my way of writing code, which is very very tiny, very tiny, will come to one of the leading edges in this field, because nowadays they're doing it. Okay, chat GPT, blah blah blah, but they're using huge massive data behind this, and you can't put that into any computer.
on that subject, Ali Murat, my understanding is that the Chat GPT was trained by scanning and absorbing all the material on Reddit
the
to
internet.
understand how humans engage in dialogue, in conversation. And I'm not sure it's so much what the content was, but patterns, and it's geared philosophically, if I understand this correctly, to trying to predict what a human wants to hear back as part of a conversation. So your approach sounds completely different from that. And so I don't know if you have any comment on, explaining how your approach is different in that respect.
Well, just like you said, it's a way of machine learning. What they do is, they grab all the data they require and then pull out the phrases that they need later on, put them together, and answer back. But I'm not saying that that's something weak. I think they made a great job with GPT-4, and today I was working with that and trying to find out how to do it, kind of thing. Most of the times it's all very. It looks simple, but it's not that simple. But the idea of a software developing itself, with curiosity and learning is totally different. It's a totally different way of approaching things. I don't want to have any data behind me. The data is sitting there on the internet anyway. I can reach it anytime I want. Most of them is already open to public. So you have to pull them all together next to each. But how should I combine things? Let me give you an basic structure of how I look at things. This is what I teach, what I taught a few times in the universities. Think of a glass sphere, huge glass sphere, okay, and put some black dots in random places on the sphere in different parts, lots of it, okay, and have another sphere, another glass sphere inside that one. Put dots in random places again on that one too. Have another one. Put 10 spheres in each other and start rotating them in different axes, okay, and with different speeds. Every time you stop the turning, you see another picture, a picture that doesn't really be like any other picture. And the data is still the same, but the picture changes. So I decided to write things on time level rather than information level. So what I do is I kind of get those images and this little dots, the picture, and put the information in there. So, but when this thing moves, it's a liquid data. When it moves, you lose everything, you know. So you should know where this thing is really rotating at what speed, etc. So, but it's so fast and that's so simple. It's you can do anything with it without changing the size of the data. Data is there, just with a few timing segments, you can control the data, and that's not ones and zeros. So I call it the
Amazing.
liquid data.
Yeah, I can. We should probably come up with some visuals for that because I've
Yes. Let
heard it
me let
heard
me
it
share
described a couple of times. So
let me share present a video example about Compisco, and can you after this I think you get control for it.
yep.
Hello, my name is Ali Murat. Today I would like to show you a little demo on a piece of software called Compishko. Compishko is not just a little piece of software. We call it a digital human. It can think, yes, it can actually think and respond like we do. It makes logic. It can get on the web and collect all the information it requires to really communicate with us. Well, instead of talking, let's have Compishko talk with us, so we'll have a better understanding of what it can do. Compishko?
I'm listening to you. What do you want?
Compishko, can you hear me?
Of course I can.
Okay then, can you understand me?
Don't worry, I can understand most of what you are saying.
That's great. As you can see, you can understand me now. And so...
I'm here too.
Okay, we know that. So are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Fantastic. So we would like you to talk with us. Can you do that?
I was just thinking that maybe this time I should stop talking.
No, don't stop talking. We want you to talk. Let me introduce you to these people. So we have some audience. Kompishko, are you scared to talk to so many people?
No, I'm not. I like to chat with people. That's why I'm built so. Alright, I
Really?
understand that
That's
you
great.
guys want to be famous.
No,
But
no,
let
no.
me talk to this is my name.
Okay, this is yours. I understand it. So you're a computer.
Do you hear me at all? Are you guys there?
Yeah, we are all here. So tell me, can you do some
Hey
calculations?
guys, would you mind talking with me?
Okay, he wants to talk. Hold on a second. Can you do some
Of course I can.
Kompishko,
Yes, my dear.
please, listen to me. Can you do calculations for us?
Sure I can. Ask me whatever you want.
No, we're not going to ask you anything. We know that you're a computer. We're not going to push you on mathematics. So, how about some music?
16.
How about some music? Can you?
So you can see Campishko has a mind of its own even way back then. So uh, any comments on what we just viewed there, Ali?
Yeah, the
Well,
year.
it was 2004. You know, God, it's like 19 years ago. You know, when no one had anything about
A long
any
time.
idea. You know, that was
I
it could talk in two languages simultaneously at the same time,
Yeah.
and could play the music I want. You buy my cinema tickets and everything.
I,
Oh,
I
look what this.
remember we were in an office in Silicon Valley and in Palo Alto. It was an attorney's office, and it was the firm that represented Apple. And we were showing Kompishko for one of the first times, and it was a very similar exchange in the conference room with these attorneys. And they looked at each other, and it was interesting because this was just before Siri was announced.
Oh wow.
It was just the timing was extraordinary, and these guys knew it, and they couldn't share that with us at the time. But we were showing them something very, very much like what they were hearing from Apple about what Siri was. But it in I don't think they even could grasp what the differences were in it, you know. So that Siri was just purely on in that time a very limited database, really, as a essentially an answering machine, and then basically just a sophisticated call manager, really. And
Well, I
then we
see
were we
where.
were showing them something that was like kind of coming up with its own approach to how it wanted to deal with the person it was interacting with.
Right. Right.
I remember time, Greg. I remember I mean, this of course, Kompishka didn't know the guys, So one of them was saying, "What do you think of me?" And he said his name, and Kompishka said, "Oh, I know you. You're a lawyer. And what about lawyers? They make a lot of money." So I remember that. That was fun. But he started talking about him, his career, and everything. Because
Yeah.
he immediately jumped to data in 2004, guys. Okay, this is very, very important. Very early times for the intelligent computers
Well,
coming out.
on that, let's go ahead and let's switch gears into what you're working on today. We've only got a few minutes left in the stream.
Yes.
We're gonna do this
Let me.
weekly with Ali doing his Curiosity AI. We'll also have all the links to the different websites that are available. Like, share, follow, do all the normal social media stuff for us. Help us out. But with that, let's take a quick pause, and then when we come back, we'll do a quick rundown of all the things that we're building, Ali, and give a quick preview of what's to come.
Yes. I'm presenting the toys.
back after a short commercial break, eh?
That looked great. All those artists
So,
doing great
Victor,
work.
what did you bring up here, Victor?
Oh, my favorite.
I'm bringing the Roby Sapien, uh, let's say the first generation, right, Ali? And
Yeah,
that's an
that was
example.
actually that was actually 8 years ago. Now
Eight
it's eight
years ago.
years ago,
Yes.
and they could talk to on any subject with me and among each other. That was the earlier RoboSapien project.
Hmm.
Do you want to run it?
Let's let's run it.
Hasbro will be calling soon.
Do you want attention? Let me test it a few minutes, if not well disturbed. I had the same problem a few days. We should get more.
Don't worry, Jupiter. YouTube not gonna collapse.
The video is not running.
I lived through this a few times before.
Yeah, it's having some trouble streaming through on the video. We'll make this video available with a
No
link.
thanks. Yeah.
It's in YouTube available. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
So
Let me
So
remove
clear
it.
that off there, Victor. Yeah, right, good.
hmm.
Yeah, so
let me
let's
let me
let's
let
go
me
ahead and do
tell
the
you.
breakdown of what you're doing right now.
Okay. Now we have a few projects in our hands that are all tied up with intelligence and curiosity and all these things. And one of them is Lady AI, which is very important for me because I had written a software that could simulate music, on any kinds of music back in the past in 1999. So this new project takes one of my pictures. Actually, you can see the picture behind Ken, that picture, and divides it into 10,000 pieces, 10,000 frames, and looking at the color and the graphics quality and the darkness and contrast, etc., of that little tiny frame. The software writes the sonata, piano sonata, for that certain little thing. So the machine could write 10,000 piano sonatas in 7 minutes. So this is an NFT project that we are working on, and now we have. If you buy the pieces, it will give you a chance for him to read your fortune, which is very weird because this is not a simple way of reading a fortune. This is how the machine interprets your name, date of birth, etc., like a fortune teller does, and sees the graphics that it can create for your future, and it can tell you 30 years of your life at the same time. So it looks like a game, but it's not a game. I think it's a there's a reality part of it. I still cannot understand how it does it, but it does it.
Yeah.
So and Lady of AI is are two projects combined together, and soon probably within a few weeks you will be seeing that everywhere. I think I'm very proud of that project because even the 10,000 sonatas is
Right.
something big,
And
not
yeah, the
simple.
beauty of the NFT is that you're choosing a pixel out of 1 out of 10,000 that's part of the image behind me, but every pixel has generated a music MP3 based on Ali's algorithms and what Ludwig has created this. So the NFT comes with both the image, the pixel representation. You own 1/10,000th of the actual image, and then you have the you have the audio as well. You can collect them, trade them, and whatnot. The idea is the NFT will provide you with access and discounts to other things going on in Ali Murat's world. Kahin is the AI psychic reading that he's developed, and you'll get a discount on Kahin by owning Our Lady of AI NFT. The whole ecosystem will grow based on Ali's universities already created and is creating now. Uh, and then the overarching thing here is RoboSapien. The end goal is to see Compishko evolve and come into its new form. That's what I'm really excited about. You'll see more of the Kahin come up. You'll see more of Our Lady of AI, and much more about the story and the background and all of that stuff. We'll be presenting more and more of that as the weeks go on. Um, what what stage do you think you're at with? Not to put you on the spot, but I know that we have a lot of resources to gather, a lot of things, a lot of foundations yet to do for RoboSapien. But what is the initial market, or who do you want to be involved with the RoboSapiens first? Is it the educational section of what you're doing? Is it entertainment?
That's right. Well,
or even
I'm aiming. I'm getting these robots to be built in less than $15 each. A robot, $15 toy. A plush toys cost more than that, but these toys have it can have expressions and everything, moves arms and legs, etc. Everything, and has TV screen and everything. Still under $15, and they can communicate with each other, with the children, and with the transmission I'm having on 24-hour animation channel that I'm working on. That would be through cell phones and mobiles, all kinds of mobiles. And the funny side is, the broadcast won't need internet. That's the number one thing that I want to do. Now, that's very, very important. So it's an
Yeah.
educational program, let's say. So one
and
part.
and
Then you can.
um, for adults, you're gonna have also for me a toy that is not like Chat GPT. Is a toy. Is it can talk to me, interact with me.
Exactly. It will ask you, yesterday you went to the dentist. What happened? How are you today? Kind of thing when you come into the room, that kind of thing that I'm working on. More intelligent, more sophisticated,
More personal,
Right.
more
not
Yeah,
controlled
personal.
by a centralized source.
I saw
Yeah.
So,
this robot from this brand, this company that is big, and the robot walk around your house. It get confused when it's a mirror, so you gotta put like some stickers, sensors, so he can move around. But what you
Well,
creating is in the next level.
yeah.
Hmm.
Well, for the beginning, I don't want to run around expensive stuff like walking around robotic toys, but simpler toys that could teach children the friendship of the world. Just the Japanese and African children will talk to Hungarian or Russian children. Everyone will be able to talk in its own language and still communicate with each other and learn about culture, art, etc. That's why my goal is. But next stage, of course, they'll be walking around and carrying things and helping child. It's not difficult. That part is easier.
Yes,
You know,
very.
awesome, awesome. So we're gonna wrap it up here. Thank you so much, Ali. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Kevin, for
thank
being
you
a part
guys.
of this. We're gonna
Thank
be
you.
back next
Thank
week. I
you.
think what we're gonna do is we'll morph this into a much more casual conversation where Ali is able to just talk about subjects and products and things that he's interested in. We'll get in here. We'll get in guests that are in the AI field or other related fields, and let Ali kind of introduce his universe and his world through this format on a regular basis. So, we really appreciate everyone who's joined us. We'll
Yes.
provide all of the links. You can see robosapien.com there. The artistcollective.io is available. We have everybody listed there as well. I want to thank everyone who's joined us on LinkedIn and Twitter. It looks like YouTube didn't get broadcast today, but we will come back in the future. Those will all be broadcast there. So,
Yep.
thank you, everyone. Thanks again, and have a wonderful weekend.
Thank
See you
you,
next week.
Ali.
Thank you,
Thank
Ken.
you,
Thank you,
everyone.
Victor.
Thank you
Thank
guys.
you, Greg.
Thank you guys.
Bye
Nice
bye.
being with you.
What is music? What is the mathematics? What is the mythology behind music? What makes it music? What makes it uh, enjoyable? Let's say so. principles of music and come up with something that's listenable by humans. And I called it Ludwig. Ludwig was very successful. From one computer, one simple computer, it could produce 2.5 billion. I'm not joking. 2.5 billion symphonies a day.